That's your cue.
Official.
That's right.
That is your cue. Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. If I could ask everybody to please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Buckman,
Here.
Brandon Earl,
Here.
Greg Kreifel, here, Jason Newberry,
Here.
Deanna Garber,
Here.
Tom Henning,
Here.
Pat Zika.
Okay, the adoption of the agenda.
I make a motion to amend the agenda as presented and add e-gaming as a discussion item.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second to amend the agenda to add e-gaming as 2.5. Somebody's probably gonna have to remind me of that when we get there, so. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor, raise their hand or say aye. Aye. All opposed, same? Okay. Recognition of patrons and staff. Adam, have anybody sign up to talk? Nobody this evening? Okay. So then we'll be moving on to discussion items. First thing we have on discussion items is driver's education scholarship.
Yes, last month, Mr. Wilmoth was here to visit with the board about the need for future driver's ed teachers. We have a crew, Mr. Wilmoth, Mr. Phelps, Mr. Ybarra, who have been doing that for our community for lots of years, and they are all looking towards retirement, and we are really, really lucky to have them back one last summer, which took some teeth pulling to get that done, so we really appreciate them and their families giving up that time to support our students this summer. And one of the things that we've really had trouble with is we tried last year to try to get some educators scholarships to attend Fort Hays University's driver's ed course and have them then reimburse us that through their work. And that was a no-go, and so this year we would like to recruit for next summer and pay that scholarship in full without the need for repayment, but to put in some time to work for the district for at least 2 years, doing 2 different years of driver's ed courses. Hoping obviously they stay longer than that, but I'm hoping to at least keep them for that long. So we have a waiver that has been put in your packet, and interested in any feedback you have on that, towards that. For essentially what we would do is once the board gave the thumbs up to this, we would put this out to our employees and others and see if we have anybody who's interested in taking that on, since it will be fully paid for, and try to get some teachers lined up so our kids are supported next summer. The waiver is in there, and just any discussion anybody has, it's pretty straightforward. Just saying that they have to obviously stay enrolled, maintain a certain GPA, and also work for us for 2 years to get them through the program.
So that was I guess my first question. How long does it take them to get through the program?
1 year.
Okay.
So we would be looking for people to sign up this summer and then work through classes throughout the school year next year, but ready for the following summer. Also in your packet, which was there last month, is the flyer from Fort Hays that kind of explains that. The one disclaimer on that is it was last year's prices, so it might go up a little bit as college tip prices tend to do, like everything else. So, but it gives you an idea of where it was at last year.
We were talking about two, possibly 3.
2 or 3.
Okay.
We need to. I have 2 wanting to retire, absolutely, and I have 1 thinking about it. So it depends on whether the thinking about it makes a decision. So, but we will get that in before we pay for anybody. We will make sure that we have that solidified.
Okay. Any other discussion on that, or what's your timeline on this? How quick do you need an answer back from the board?
We're fine if you want to take some time and do it next month, and that's completely fine. Unless the board has additional questions, we will put this, and you're welcome to get with us, and then we can put this on the agenda next month for action and get it out there to our teachers at the end of summer.
I thought there was a little bit of a time crunch on this.
I think that they have it set up so that you can take those at, the different times.
I thought there was one part of the course that
It
Mr.
ends,
Loomis.
it ends with a summer course,
Okay,
is my understanding. So next year, they would have to have that practicum, which we may need to actually hire Mr. Wilmoth or somebody who's with expertise to actually teach that course for
Okay.
us, to have them be kind of a mentor within that.
Any other discussion on that?
Ken, just go ahead. I mean, I will make a motion to approve 3 scholarships for driver's education.
I second it.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same. Okay. Thank you. Next item is the KISA accreditation process.
Yes, and I have Dr. Kern get set up here to give us just a second.
Okay, as you know, we're in year 4 of the KISA accreditation process. And next year will be our year 5. And after year 5, we start over with year 1 again, develop goals and go through the whole cycle again. So our outside visitation team, which is our OVT team, was Joel Hudson. He was our chair. And he was from USD 259, he's retired now. Lisa Cundiff and Jennifer Reed. Lisa Cundiff is technology director in Hayesville, and Jennifer Reed is the assistant superintendent in Hayesville. And we're very lucky to get them to be on our team because they've been chairs before and kind of knew the process and were willing to take that time to come work with us on this. So we are going to talk about today the foundational structures, the needs analysis and goals, sustainability and improvement process, Kansas vision for education and state board outcomes, the definition of a high school graduate, stakeholder involvement, fidelity of implementation, and strengths and concerns. Over here on our checklist, I know this is kind of small, but we had 3 goals that we pulled out as focus areas. So goal 1, the district will increase scores on FastBridge assessments, state assessments, and ACT assessments through the adoption and alignment of a K-12 evidence-based curriculum. So if you remember, 4 years ago when we started this process, our curriculum was very outdated and it was not aligned. So at this point in time, we now have updated our curriculum and we've aligned our curriculum, and we're actually still aligning the high school because we just adopted math and we're still aligning the others. Our goal area 2, USD 353 will increase post-secondary success by increasing the number of students who participate in CTE pathways, college credits, internships, and become completers, CTE completers. And goal area 3, the district will increase kindergarten readiness by reducing the number of students who enter kindergarten that is at some risk or high risk by ensuring access to a focus on a standards-based pre-K education program, or give them opportunities for that. So starting out with the foundational structures, of course we have ATSS and other systems of support that I'll talk about at high school. Right now we do that through the core courses. So we're working on that for next year to have more interventions outside of the core courses. And we've been working on a positive trend in our ACT scores. At the middle school, we have interventionists there. We use Read Live, Wilson, TransMath. We have nighttime mentoring. We have interventions going on. progress monitoring, and using Second Step for our social emotional. At the elementary level, we have our daily interventions, progress monitoring every other week, and Second Step. As far as family, business, and community partnerships, we have been working with our site councils, teachers, school board, and community throughout those COVID changes, which that was a huge opportunity to work with our community and make sure that everyone received education through that process. We have a partnership with Cowley College that in the last 4 years has developed into a really strong partnership. And then we've done restructuring presentations throughout the district and community to help educate everyone about the restructuring process. As far as diversity, equity, and access, we went to one-to-one Chromebooks. 4 years ago, we provided hotspots for all of those students who were without internet. We have clubs and organizations to celebrate diversity. Under communication and basic skills, it sounds like more communication as far as website, email, stuff like that, but under the rubric under KSDE, they were actually talking about core curriculum. And so we've updated that core curriculum. We have pacing guides that the teachers follow. We have standards report cards, K through 5. We have rubrics for those and common assessments for those. And then district-wide, we are working on CHAMPS for our social, emotional, and behavior. Under civic and school engagement, at the elementary level, they have families of different age students that come together. We have citizenship and civic clubs at the middle school. We have a service work day and internships at the high school level. And then under physical and mental health, we have, for Sumner Mental Health coming into our schools to work with our students, professional development around social emotional work, and social workers and counselors at each building, which we did not have 4 years ago. And then, of course, PE and health. So I talked about our 3 goals, and I kind of talked about what we've done. So under goal 1, increasing our scores on assessments, and we still have another year to even grow further, but we've updated our curriculum. We are doing better on our state assessments at Bass Bridge, and we hope to have our scores by the 20th of May for the state assessments, so we can see how we did there. We've finished our standards report cards, even though we tweak those constantly. And we also our scope and sequences. We tweak those and constantly update those. In goal area 2, that's kind of our shining area that we've really gone above and beyond, because we have, in the last 4 years, students have earned 937 total college credits. We have 450 CTE concentrators and 395 of those in the health science pathway alone. We have lots of students participating in internships. So we had 0 in 2019, and now we are up to 20 in the last few years. And we also have students getting certifications before they graduate. So goal area 3 is the one that we still have quite a bit of work to do. We've started out adding Futures Unlimited preschools to our schools. We started out at Kennedy and Lincoln. Then we had it just at Lincoln, and then we'll probably have it just at Kennedy next year because we have more space over there. We also came to an agreement of what class sizes should look like across the district. We're talking about the restructuring process, trying to decide how to make our schools more equitable and decide what to do there, as well as what we're gonna do about preschool and serving the students that don't go to preschool. So we still have a pocket of students that don't go, and figuring out how to identify those kids and how to serve those kids. So all of our professional development centers around our action plans and the district goals. And the three that we've put the most emphasis on the last few years have been social emotional learning and support, curriculum support, because we have started a lot of new curriculums, and then instructional strategies, the visible learning strategies. So of course, when we do all this, we want to make sure that we have fidelity and sustainability, that we're not just introducing those things and then after the 5th year the cycle's over, we drop it and start something else. We want that sustainability. So implementing PLCs throughout the year, as well as team time for departments to meet, our administrative walkthroughs, also bring those things back in front of the teachers, because those include all of our visible learning strategies that we expect them to do in the classroom, as well as the champs. Other things that we do in order to have sustainability would be GPI team that comes together, our poverty simulations. We're trying to bring that back every other year so we can catch those new teachers that haven't had it yet. And also partner maybe with surrounding schools so that we can have a bigger group to do that. And then of course BLTs that meet very consistently to be able to go over our sustainability of continuous improvement. So the Kansas vision for the state board outcomes kind of goes right along with what we had chosen for goals anyway, so that works out well. Under social emotional, attendance is one of the ways that we can gather data for that, and up to this year we've had 93% attendance. We track our behavior referrals in Infinite Campus, and then we also have our Savers data that we can use. We have had an increase in behavior since COVID, so we've had lots of training with safe and civil schools, and CHAMPS is included with that. Down here on kindergarten readiness, we've seen a slight improvement in math readiness in the last 3 years, and that is actually the curriculum we've had in place the longest. So we've had more students go through Eureka Math at the K-5 level. There's slight improvement in reading readiness in the last 3 years, and we've had our new reading curriculum for a couple of years now. We have implemented preschools within our schools, but those are for Futures Unlimited, so they aren't necessarily our preschools, but we are partnering with them. And then we started the restructuring process. And then the last one is plan of study, and that is a Kansas board outcome that they want us to focus on. And we have been focusing on that. So currently we have it 9 through 12, and we'd like to expand that 6 through 12. They have mentoring already in place in nighttime at the middle school and crew con at the high school. And we use Zello for career exploration, and that could be expanded 6 through 12. And then finally, under post-secondary success, we had WSU came and did a study for our district because we're predicted to have a score of 41, but our score was actually 36. And they asked if they could do a study on our district to see why we were scoring a little bit lower on our post-secondary success than we were. And that has helped us to kind of pinpoint some of the things that we need to do to help those kids to be more successful after they leave us. And that includes the college credits and the internships and some of those things that we're doing.
What's the 41 and 36% or students or?
It is a score that they assign. I don't think it's a percentage. I think it's just a
Right,
percent.
like on a rubric.
Yeah, yeah. So we're close. It's not like we're too far off, but we should have an updated score every year, so we can see if we're closing that gap. We partnered with Cali, and that has helped us to increase that amount of college credits earned. We have an increase in athlete concentrators and completers, and then the middle school has now worked to have courses that work into those high school courses so that there's a pathway there. So after all of this, after we presented all of our data and information, they give recommendations each year. And they were really impressed with everything we have done. And then to finish out for our 5th year, they recommended that first of all, on our behavior incident reports, those are in Infinite Campus, but we enter them differently by school, so the data is not as good as it could be. If it was more consistent among the schools, so we're gonna work on building a rubric and building some consistency between the schools so that we have data that's actually comparable. And then they've also recommended that we keep working on this, and we may not finish this by the end of the 5th year, but that's kind of our goal, to find out, to see if we can find a way to identify those kids that aren't going to preschool and figure out a way to help them so that when they do come to kindergarten, that they aren't at risk. And plan a study. We're currently at 9 to 12. They're recommending that we get that going grades 6 through 12. And then intentionality and sustainability. They are saying that we need to ensure that there's PLC time consistency. And we have PLCs throughout the year, but it's not like consistently every month. We try to fit it in on our professional development days if we can, and that's if we don't have a speaker and other things going on, so we'll be more consistent with that. And using a data dashboard to make data-driven decisions for PLCs, building leadership team, district leadership team, just using that data to make sure that we don't have kids that fall through the cracks. So I think those are very doable goals for the next year, and give us a focus that we were already working on actually, and just need to finish up some work there. So that's what we're
So
doing.
we had a KISA committee that met with I know Chris and Jason supported us on that committee, and we met with them and kind of went over what we were planning on doing as far as presenting all the information and everything with our story all put together, but giving all that to the OBT team. The OBT team then came in and gave us all of these recommendations. We have since met back with that committee and gone over all this. So this is all coming out of committee to you. So just so you're aware, all that was going on in the background as well.
So the whole district, I mean, a school could not meet the qualifications or the standards, is that correct?
Actually, this
or-
is, okay, go
Sorry,
ahead.
they just accredit us as a district now. They
Yeah,
don't do it by
it's-
building anymore.
Okay.
So we have.
So if you have a school on plan of improvement or whatever you call it, that's no longer, or does that not come from the same thing?
Yeah, it doesn't come from accreditation, it would come from like test score, like state assessment scores. If our state assessment scores were specifically down, then they could target our schools based off of, an individual school based off of that,
Who is they?
the state.
And I think with the way that we are following, using data to drive our decisions, we can notice that before it happens now, so.
Do we have a plan how we're gonna reach, kids that are not in preschool? Or how many are out there?
Yeah, we have a coalition, preschool coalition that's being put together by ourselves and Features, working with Krista Jones and partnering that. We've even had a new preschool open that we're trying to form a relationship with this year, and so just trying to put all those things together to discuss that. Kind of one of the reasons why I haven't heard a lot about restructuring yet. A lot of that's gonna pop back up this summer as we get back into gear on that.
So on the systems of support, mental health, social workers or counselors at each building, do we have mental health at our buildings still?
We do, and you can ask the principals questions about that, but yeah, we use them in our buildings, and I think their schedule's pretty full.
They're full, we're full. We have one 2 days a week at the high school.
There's no more room for any more students. We could really use more out there.
And on days we don't have the Sumner County mental health person there, that's our social worker on those other days. We have a social worker or somebody from Sumner County mental health at least every day at the high school.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Are you looking for anything from us tonight, or is this just information?
Just letting the board know what's happened, and we're gearing up for year 5 graduation.
Okay. So seeing no other questions, I guess we'll move on to graduation honors requirements.
Okay, so last month, opened kind of the floor for discussions and talking about changing up the graduation requirements with honors. Since then, I've done a little research on the 8 schools that we are in the league with. We are definitely in the minority of those that do the lauds. El Dorado is the only one that does Summa, Magna Cum Laude. Everyone else does a valedictorian and salutatorian. The way that they do that is they have, oh goodness, okay?
Sorry, just leave it down.
Yeah, I would leave it, sorry.
Yeah, right? So they do a valedictorian, salutatorian. They must be a Kansas scholar. That is a prerequisite from every school, is you must be a Kansas scholar. What they do with their AP classes is they weight their AP classes. And if there is a tie for valedictorian, they break that with the ACT, and then they don't do a salutatorian. There are probably 6 schools among the 8 that honor their top 10% as well. So kind of in discussion, we'd like to do the valedictorian, salutatorian. What we would do is weight AP classes if they pass their AP test. So if they take the AP exam and they do not pass the test, it would be weighted on a regular 4.0 scale. If they take the AP exam and they have a passing grade, then that would be on a 5-point scale. So that is kind of how you're gonna have your differentiation between your top of the class and not. The reason why nobody has college factored in is AP exam is a national exam and it's consistent throughout the nation. ACT is a national exam, it's consistent throughout the nation. Colleges differ on the material that's presented, the requirements, their accreditation, so that's why they don't really base things off of getting college credit. And I think it'd be a great idea as well to have honors of top 10% of the class, just finding a way to recognize them and just shooting for that top of the class and second top of the class and differentiating, this is different. You have pushed yourself and gone above and beyond, and making those AP exam, passing that and having that as a requirement really makes those students stand out. So definitely still open for discussion. I just wanted to let you know that I did some research over the last month to find out what our neighboring schools, as far as in the league, what they were doing. And predominantly 90% was the valedictorian, salutatorian, and top 10%. Questions?
Isn't this similar to what we used to do? I mean, the weighted class, and that's where, people got an uproar, and so we changed to meet their needs. the parents' needs instead of the students. So we've done, this is the way it's been done,
Yes,
and we're going back to that way.
It was
Yes.
it was a little bit different though. We did not have AP classes at that time, so this whole AP weighted thing is.
But we had honors, which
Honors.
honors was weighted, I think, at that time.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
correct.
so there was
And-
weighted,
and I
it was a
believe-
weighted class thing,
And I believe college classes might have been too. but-
yeah.
So it was very different.
But correct me if I'm wrong, honors classes isn't really a state or national curriculum, and that was kind of the
That was
big
kind of the
question
sticking
mark
point,
on
yeah,
that.
is what, you know, if you look at an honors class versus a regular class, you know, what was the criteria that made it an honors class? And that became controversial back during those times, so.
because that could differ from class to class and school to school, whereas the AP is consistent. There is an AP curriculum that everyone uses, and that does not vary from school to school or from class to class. So the consistency would be there, and I think hence that's why everybody goes to valedictorian, salutatorian using the AP. We would be a little different in the fact that we would weight our AP classes only if they pass the test. So that would be a little different. So again, open for discussion, just wanted to bring some ideas back to you guys on what we found out and what other schools are doing. So you guys could start the process of having those discussions, and if there was anything else you wanted me to go back and research or find out, I'd be more than happy to do that as well.
And when would this start? When would,
The freshman class coming up, so it would be consistent for them for their whole 4 years.
So
Go ahead.
I got a question. I'm maybe a little biased on what I'm saying here, but I understand your reasoning on the college classes because they're different from school to school. I just think with Callie being out our back door there, I think we need to make sure that we're still including them in the equation. And not necessarily encouraging, but at least making it available for our kids. And maybe encouraging a little bit our kids to go utilize that facility that is right there and available for them. So I guess I would kind of still like to have some consideration in there for the college classes. I don't know.
And I get that because we want post-secondary success and that's how we get post-secondary success. I just don't know how you tie that in to be fair. I think that's the struggle.
I can see where it would be confusing if we had multiple colleges that our kids were taking classes at, but do we have anybody that's taking classes from anywhere other than Cowley?
No,
So I can see, okay,
We
That's because they've completed every math imaginable.
yeah,
We've had some in the past, I mean, since online's available everywhere, we've had some in the past that have gotten some
Okay.
approved from other universities.
because I can see where you were saying where not all colleges are equal, so that would be unfair to take differential equations here versus here, and maybe this one was easier, so.
I get that, and like I said, that's why it's open for discussion. If there is a way that you think that it could fit in, or there's something that you wanna tie in to that, I think it's definitely open for discussion on that.
Well, I mean, to not cut out Cali, we could say you gotta have X amount of credits from the college added on as well. I just don't know how that would work with your AP classes. Do we offer all the core AP classes?
Right now, we have 4 AP classes that are offered. We're hoping to continue the 4 AP classes. So it is all 4 core are offered in the AP classes. So again, if you do consider college, I would definitely hold it to the 4 core classes, not saying that CTE is not valuable. I'm not saying that, but if we want them to be competitive and we want them to rise above others, we wanna look at those 4 core in science, math, English, and the social studies and humanities.
what's the rubric for post-secondary success?
How many go on, whether it's military, whether it's a 2-year, whether it's technical training, whether it's a 4-year, something beyond high school rather than just the workforce is my understanding of post-secondary success. They wanna see that you've gone on to do something outside of that, which a lot of our students are getting the CTE certifications. That counts as post-secondary success. The 2-year associate's degree counts as post-secondary success. Military is not something that's tracked, but I know for us, that's something that's post-secondary success.
And you want me to read it off the
Yes, that would
KSDE?
be awesome.
Just saying.
To help districts determine if students are continuing on the road to success 2 years after graduation, Kansas looks at 3 different measures, including a 5-year average. A, the post-secondary success rate is the percent of high school graduates who either earned an industry-recognized certification, a higher education degree, or continued their education 2 years after graduation. B, the post-secondary effectiveness rate uses the same post-high school criteria but includes all students who began high school in 9th grade regardless of graduation status. And C, the post-secondary predicted effectiveness rate recognizes that Kansas communities are different. This measure attempts to level the comparison by recognizing certain risk factors, cumulative poverty, chronic absenteeism, and student mobility as influence on success. Accounting for the degree to which risk factors are present, this measure predicts a district's expected effectiveness rate. So 3 different things that they look at.
So on the AP testing, if they don't take the test, they get an A 4.0.
Correct.
If they had an A in
If
the
they have
class.
an A, correct.
So, but if they took the test, it's a 5.0.
If they pass the test.
Now, do the other districts require this test? I mean, is it just like a semester test, or what is it?
No, it's so AP class is a year long. So we just finished this last 2 weeks our AP exams. It is a national test that you pass the AP exam with a 3, 4, or 5, and that will give you certain amount of college credit. So if you get a 3, you get credit for Comp 1. If you get a 4 or a 5, you're gonna get credit for Comp 1 and Comp 2, so you are getting not just the AP credit, but you're also getting college credit. You're not
Okay, so
having to
that's
take
what
that.
that's what I was wondering is, so
Yes.
like a student, would they either have to go on the valedictorian pathway or the associate pathway? So they would be getting those college credits from the AP in those
Yes.
4 core classes.
Correct.
Okay,
That's correct, if they pass that test, correct.
and does that test cost
Yes.
money?
Yes.
Is there vouchers for kids who?
There are
For
some,
group
well, I think we don't have very many students that take it, but we have enough money in the Bank of Commerce.
Okay,
That we talked about, last month, that's something we could definitely look at covering the cost of students that wanna take that. We don't want that to be a factor for kids if they can't afford the AP exam. And it has not been an issue thus far since I've been at the high school.
Do you think more would take it if there wasn't just the financial,
I don't think it's necessarily that. I think I'd say 90% of our students take the AP exam if they are in the AP classes. And counselors have made that known that we'll cover the cost. It's about $80, $90 to take each exam.
and so right now it's just not weighted, they just
Correct,
get
it's
it,
not
they get an
weighted.
A and 3
That's
credits,
correct.
okay.
Yes, they still get their college credits if they pass.
Okay.
But yes, it's not weighted at this moment. That's why we can have, 10 4.0 students.
We still only offer Spanish as a foreign language, that's the only one.
That's correct.
Okay, good discussion. Any other things that they want to bring up right now? Okay, thanks for the info.
Thank you.
Moving on to 2.4 is handbooks.
Yeah, speaking of, let's connect those two. So as far as what the high school will do now, if the board's comfortable, after this discussion and any discussion that you give them between now and next month, then when they present their handbook here pretty soon, that will be in your June agenda, then you can look at what they put together based off of this discussion, that will be in the handbook. And so that will be up for discussion at that point, if that's okay.
Did you want to talk about graduation?
Oh, yes,
Sunday as well?
yes. Yeah, real quick, and I don't know if you wanna just tell them for,
This Sunday, graduation starts at 2 o'clock at the football field, weather permitting. You guys are all welcome, and we ask that you maybe just be up on the stage 10 minutes prior. Students are gonna arrive at 1, but we'll start at 2 o'clock. Hopefully, we don't have to be an auctioneer and get through like we did last year, but if there is weather, we'll move it to the gym. So both places are set up and students will practice at both places. So we'll be there at 1 and we'll start 2 o'clock.
And so if you just, there'll be a chair for you on stage if you would like to be up there, you're welcome to be. It's not a requirement, but we obviously encourage you to be up there to represent our students. Also, if you have somebody that you're connected to that is graduating this year and you want to hand them their diploma, then please, board president typically hands out all the diplomas except for, it's kind of like cutting into a dance, I suppose. It's, you just kind of tap Jason on the shoulder and step in, so. Then you're obviously welcome if you have talked to another family and gotten permission to give their child a diploma, then you are more than welcome to do that while you're up there, so.
Will the stage be facing like it was last year?
Just like last
Just
year.
like last year.
That way we can sit people on both sides and we don't have to worry about restrictions.
Thank you. Any questions on graduation Sunday? Okay. As far as handbooks, I apologize. Just a reminder, there's been some board discussion recently about things that directly tie back to our student handbooks, and so just wanted to remind everybody that comes up in your June meeting, just like the graduation requirements will be in there, and other policies, and so that will be coming up, and they're working on them right now. They will get them to me by the end of May, and then I will have that in your June agenda. And then you'll have June to discuss, and then July, those will be up for approval. So it's just kind of an early letting you know, since that's become a little bit of a topic, not only with graduation honors, but with other things that are policies within our agendas.
Don't we need to decide on the graduation, the valedictorian kind of thing now or really soon, if it's gonna be if we're gonna start the freshman class or just?
No, if it's in the handbook, then we need to approve it then.
So we can wait
Yeah,
till,
so we can wait,
but it needs to be done like,
certainly, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it'll be up for
But we'll-
approval in July, unless the contract's quicker than that, so.
Moving on to 2.5, e-gaming, didn't forget.
Thank you. I had some concerns, so back in February, we voted in for 2 teams for the e-gaming. Hire a coach for each building to start the program. We received board briefs on May 6th that a coach had been hired for the high school with plans to grow into the middle school, changing course and becoming an esports club for the middle school. That's not what we voted in. We voted in 2 teams for 2 schools, 2 coaches.
That's what we wanted, and we only had 1 coach apply.
You have an email that said you have 4 prospective.
We thought we
Applicants.
did, and when it came to it, we had 1. And that's what we've been kind of working through, and Joel has, he has been finding out a little bit more about it by going through to WSU and figuring out how to, get things going. But they said that for 1 person, that would be the best solution, would be to have a club at the other one until we can find somebody to take that over. But he could then kind of get it started. But again, we do not have all the answers. In fact, I have, Ryan had emailed too. He's been working with Joel and helping him a little bit, and he said it's very early on. So I think there's still honestly a lot that hasn't been figured out. But if you have, more questions, they'd be happy to help, but, we have to have the staff to be able to do it.
So we, a grant was submitted to the casino for 39,000 and some change. So was that grant proposed for 2 teams at 2 schools, 2 coaches?
Yes,
So isn't that dishonest to not have that?
that's still our plan. It's just not happening as quickly as we'd like it to, but we would still do that and use it for that.
But that's not what was stated in the board briefs. It was stated there was gonna be a club. There was no talk of, we're still looking for another coach. It was, we were gonna entertain a club. It wasn't even, there's guaranteed club. It's, there might be opportunity for an esports club. We're transparent here. I'm transparent and I don't feel very transparent right now. I feel like we have money for something that, we have more money for something that we don't need. So I'm trying to figure out what we're doing.
I'm just telling you, we're doing the best that we can, Deanna. We're doing the best that we can. And with one person, we're working on this and we're gonna make it the best experience that we possibly can.
For the middle school, because we voted for middle school too, and we have
I
kids
know,
who are
and
excited
I
about
really
that.
want it middle school too, and that's why we're entertaining the idea of having a club to get started with it and growing it to be a really great thing, but
Who's gonna supervise the club?
well, we're
There's not
hoping
gonna
that
be a
Joel
club,
could
Pat.
Oh,
help.
I know, but I'm just saying, you say there is gonna be a club, but there still needs a person for the club.
So their idea is, if we can, and this is early on in the process, but
Don't we already have the equipment?
And how much equipment
no,
do
we
we
don't
have?
have the equipment yet,
It's ordered, right?
but it's ordered.
So what did we order? How much did we order?
We ordered
Enough for,
15 machines.
and you said did you say there's 30 kids have shown interest,
That
and
have shown interest.
at
yes.
least half of those are not athletes, so they could. So 15, basically, kids could be a part of the group.
And the idea that Joel and Ryan had kind of talked about was maybe if we could have the club next door to the esports room, that could be, that maybe they could find somebody to help him that wouldn't necessarily be a coach, but to help him monitor both rooms and have the club going on simultaneously.
So we're gonna have the middle school transport over to the high school after school.
Possibly, if we can't find somebody, but nothing is set in stone yet.
So you're definitely putting how many machines at the high school?
It just depends. I don't wanna answer for the guys.
Well, I'm having a hard time with this because we voted this in. I'm just, I don't know, I don't like to sit here 3 months before it's supposed to start with a maybe. It might look like this, it might look like that, because we voted in something, that it was unanimous. We wanted this for the district. And I just don't, I'm just not understanding why you can't even tell me where you're gonna put the machines.
But ultimately, I mean, though we did vote it in, I mean, if we got no coaches that apply,
gotta thank the staff.
then we're done with it. I mean, whether we have it voted in or not, if we don't have people there to support the kids and do the coaching, then it's going nowhere.
So is it just for this, like, the application just go for like supplemental, it hasn't been like put out for other people, cause there's a lot of,
Title IX,
I
or
don't know, yeah, I mean, I don't know where the application or where it went. I just know that, I mean, we were told we had 4 applicants, okay, only one of them worked out. That, to me, we don't give up. I feel like we're giving up and saying, well, we got one coach, so we're just gonna go with that and see where we can get. We wanted 2 coaches for 2 schools. That's where I'm going with this. We don't give up on the kids, cause there's a lot of kids that wanted this. You got a board that wanted this. Let's not give up just because we only found one. In this district, maybe there's someone else somewhere, you know, that we can hire outside. I mean,
Did we advertise other places? I mean, where did we advertise? Just local here in town or?
Yeah, on our website and
We've got a lot of vacancies coming up. I think it's just maybe worth putting it back out there that, hey, this is also something that we have as an option for you to do too.
We're typically always on the search for, you know, if something's out there, then it's typically stays open until we find something. But, you know, we can bring back more information on this and continue to talk about it, because I agree. I mean, we need to have it going, but we also have to have it supervised. So we're talking, you know, about both things here. So, but you're right. It needs to be. We wanted it for our kids. Everybody wanted it. Dr. Kern worked really hard to get it going, and but it had two things. It has to be supervised, and it also has to be, you know, set up. And if we are, there's no attempt, I know, to be non-transparent. So if we need to meet with the casino and, you know, if the philosophy is we keep the additional machines because we're expecting to try to grow this, or if they want us to return money because we didn't find a coach or whatever happens, then we can absolutely make that honest and transparent with them. I don't think there's any attempt to be non-transparent, but I understand the frustration. I do.
one more question about it. So was the position for the applicants, was it put in for like a high school, so they could pick whether they wanted to work for the high school or the middle school? Is that how it was?
Mhm.
So like the only one that we had was for the high school.
What is the salary? What's the pay? I mean, what?
It's just,
It was a supplemental, yeah, we had it in the presentation originally, Luke had said it, had talked to other schools and said it somewhere, I don't have it memorized, I could look it up. Darcy, I don't know if you remember what that was.
So at the high school, do you think there are 15 kids that are going to do it? We have 15 kids ready to do it.
Yes, they said-
Before you came on, Darcy.
they
I'm
said
not
they
sure.
had
I'm not trying to
30 that
put
were
you on
interested and half of those weren't involved in anything.
But if they're,
But that, you know, kids that may be in weightlifting, you know, could also do the esports.
but you can't, if you're in football and basketball, you can't do it. Right, I mean, isn't that right? I thought we said if you're isn't that right?
I thought
So
Keisha
the-
was changing something.
yeah, and the way I understood it, they were looking at a fall and a spring.
Right.
And you might not have to participate in both necessarily, you can do
Right.
one or the other, so.
No,
it
I just
might
mean to
grab
do
some of those kids.
esports, I thought it's gonna be like a sport, so if you have another sport you go to practice with after school. Like if I play basketball, I can't go to
Right.
esports,
Right,
and if I play football, I can't go to esports. That's what I'm saying.
I would assume that's correct.
I think that's what we talked about.
As far as doing two sports.
No, not two sports at once.
She's saying you can't be at two different
You
practices.
can't be at two practices at once, obviously,
Right.
so the communication would have to happen.
But I
Yeah.
thought they were saying too that like a lot of these games you have at home anyway, and they would just practice at
Okay.
home. And then they just have to meet up for their
Yeah, they could play online and.
I'm just kinda trying to think, of these 30 kids, how many will sign up? And can meet the guidelines, you know?
But did Keisha recognize e-gaming as a sport?
Probably not.
So
Whatever
it
she said in the
wouldn't really
presentation, I don't think it's there
consider
yet.
practice then, would it? Count as practice,
I would agree.
you know, since it's not recognized.
Yeah.
Anybody could do e-gaming.
They're
Until-
talking, they're talking about
Yeah,
adding
they're
it,
talking
correct?
about it, but it is not recognized as a sport. So,
That would take a lot, I mean, I agree, I
Yeah.
know what you're saying, I think that's right, but that's gonna take a lot of supervision.
oh, sure, no, I'm just saying it's
You know,
not
you can do
recognized
something
as
at
a
home.
sport, so it wouldn't classify
Yeah.
as a practice.
But when you can do something at home
Yeah.
and school and then be a part of, I could shoot baskets all day long and say, hey, I wanna be on the basketball team, I wanna do it, that kind of thing. So we'd have to have we need lots of guidelines that we didn't think about, I think, kinda.
I mean, we could probably look at other schools that are doing it and if they have what guidelines they have, or if they have any that have been doing it for a while.
And I'm sure there's gonna be like qualifications to be on the team. I mean, you're gonna have like
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know, I don't even know what they call it, like duels or whatever to be on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like golf, I mean, the kids go out there and they're just expected to get in X amount of practice time. Coach isn't necessarily with them every swing, but, they're just expected to play.
And if they do two activities at once, they have to have the agreement between the coaches. That's
Right.
something Luke sets up every time. It has to be an agreement. They have to pick whatever their, number one sport is, and then their secondary sport, and then both coaches have to sign off on that they will work together on that, so.
Okay.
So, with I don't like the stir of potential non-transparency within that, so I would like to propose for next agenda anyway, that we do kind of an e-gaming update with a full, detailed update so that we,
Should have that anyway.
is there-
I think
is
they
the board,
got
Well, they don't
is the
have
board
the
okay with that?
information. They're still learning and going
Like
to.
the person you said that's gonna be the coach,
Mhm.
doesn't.
And I have so much confidence in him. He
I do
will
too, but I just
do a
think
good job.
before we present something for us to adopt and spend money on, we should have details worked out. Instead of getting into this and then,
Well, we wouldn't have hired coaches before the board approved.
no, but you might have done a sampling of just kind of see, who would be interested, where would we find them? That kind of thing. Feelers, just like you do the kids, how many are interested in doing it, how many,
I'm not where the 4 came from. Is those feelers we put out?
Just people who express
after we,
interest.
after we.
I can update, it'd be a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Any other concerns or discussion? Anybody else got any discussion on the e-gaming? Not, we'll move on to our one and only action item, food service contract.
Yes, our food service committee has been meeting regularly on food service contract. We brought this up to you last month. And appreciate the work on that with Chris and Brandon helping us on that committee, and Kelly organizing that committee and putting all that together. We received 3 bids as we talked to you about last month, and this evening the committee and the district is recommending that we accept the bid from Chartwell's to move forward for a new contract starting for next school year. That is up for action this evening. You had the financial bids in your packet, and the giant bids, which are sitting here on the table from each company. I know Kelly had given the opportunity to come look at that as well if you want to spend time with that. And so that is out there for the boards to make a decision on. I appreciate the committee's work on that. It was they spent a lot of time putting that together and trying to make a fair decision.
Okay, any further discussion on that? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept Chartwell's bid for the next school year.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same.
Thank you.
That was our only action item, so now moving on to administrative reports.
Anybody have anything they wanna brag about? We've got a lot of good stuff going on there.
I'll talk about our robotics program. 4 of our students, Kira Worley, Lex Galpdale on Washington, and Hunter Ricky, competed at the Cali robotics competition. And just the 4 of them took first place in the overall competition, so that's a pretty cool thing. Young program, and it's just kind of fostered. I think we have close to 80 students signed up wanting to take robotics next year, so it's just been a kind of growing program for next year. So we try to get as many kids through it as we can.
That was kind of a regional competition, wasn't it? I mean, there was
Yeah.
kids coming from all over the place, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was
That's pretty
kind of a big deal. I mean, we kind of went in, we did pretty well at the local level and, just kind of from this area. And then, when they came together as the bigger competition, we finished first. And Coach Sherry was even pretty impressed. He was like, a little surprised, like, oh my gosh. And, couldn't believe how we did any overall. So, it was a pretty cool deal.
It's been a great partnership with Cali too.
Has been.
Anybody else want to read?
Yeah. I just wanted, like I said, just put in earlier about our US News and World ranking at the high school. I think that's very impressive. If you look at the schools that we're above, with everything our kids have gone through, whether it's, we talked about earlier, changing curriculum, COVID, just everything. And yet they're still able to plug away and bring those rankings up. And those are the things that people look at when they choose a high school for their kids. So really give, really give a lot of kudos to our students being able to go through all that, and our teachers being able to, provide quality instruction as well too.
Anne's hiding out here. She's pretending like she's not here. Got anything? No, you're good? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Kennedy had a teacher recognized for the Apple Award in Wichita.
Yes.
It'd be nice if we had our own kind of a recognition for staff, teachers.
Okay.
And,
That's it for administrative reports. Moving on to executive session.
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss non-elected personnel to include Adam Hatfield and the administrative team for 10 minutes. The regular meeting will resume at 7:12 p.m.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same? Okay. Going down the hall?
Yep.
Are you doing? Hey. ingenuity courses to finish out the year.
Yeah, not because they're just specifically, they have to be homebound.
Exactly.
I wish them the best, and hopefully they'll bring home the trophy.
Good stuff. Okay, so if there are no other comments.
Oh, I have one more thing, all of the retirees, there's so many people retiring and years of dedication and, just thank you for all that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Also want to say thank you to Shelby, who, this will be her last board meeting and, has done a great job supporting the district over the last few years and supporting the board. And, so she'll be missed, for sure.
Okay, and with that, we are adjourned.
I did it last time.
Yeah.
So, I did it last time, Bell says, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna get that, shut up. I did it last time.
Staring her in the face on top all night.
Writer's cramp.
Yeah.
Use my stamp last year.